We caught up with Brett Caswell ahead of his fight with Marcin Lasota at Cage Warriors 73. Caswell is 2-0 thus far in his Cage Warriors career, and following a submission victory against Spencer Hewitt, he feels a win over Lasota puts him right in line for a shot at the vacant Flyweight title.
Hello.
Hiya Brett, it's Connor here from Kingdom MMA. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You?
I'm very well, thank you. First of all, Brett,
good.
We appreciate you taking the time to speak to us today. We've got a lot to discuss with you for your upcoming fight on November the 1st at Cage Warriors 73. Yep. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about your form going into that fight. You're coming off a very impressive win, your first professional submission victory back at Cage Warriors 69. How important was that win to rebound from your first ever defeat?
Yeah, I mean, it was good to bounce back. In my eyes, I still won that fight against Steve McCoon. I mean, two of the judges after the fight got sacked and never work on Shokanor again. I mean, the way, if you watch the fight back, I think I dominated that fight and definitely clearly won the decision. So going into that fight against Spencer Hewitt at Cage Warriors, I was just keen to get back in winning ways and saw an opportunity on the ground and just took it.
And in your amateur fights, submission finishes were coming one after the other, but this last one has been a long time coming. So how good did it feel not only to get the win, but to have success again with your submission game?
I mean, yeah, it felt great to get back to my roots. You know, obviously with the judo, growing up, you know, I'm 15 years on the Great Britain judo team, so I mean submissions and groundwork was always my forte. So getting there's a massive step up from semi-pro up to the professional ranks, and you know, getting the submission wins at semi-pro was brilliant, and then being able to implement that into the professional side of things, and especially over a BJJ black belt like Spencer Hewitt, it was great getting, you know, showing that I'm still, you know, good on the ground, and I'm still, you know, a force to be reckoned with.
Now, I mentioned rebounding from your first defeat, and your last fight was that perfect way to get back on track. But looking back now, like you say, obviously it was obviously controversial, and you believe it was in your favour. But that experience of having your first loss, do you think that's benefited you in any way?
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, there's all loads of flaws in my game plan. You know, loads of flaws is in my striking, as it were. You know, like coming from obviously the judo background, my grappling, my ground game, my ground and pound is pretty good, but my stand-up work, you know, running half a mile from a flinch and things like that. So I just hit the gym straight away with, you know, most of our striking coaches, Mock Rahman, and doing some one-on-one stuff with Brian Adams, as well as, you know, having my main training partner Phil Harris there helping me with my hands. And, you know, coming into this fight against Marcin Lasota next weekend, you know, I feel really confident that I can give him some serious damage on his feet, and then if it does go to the floor, you know, I'm confident that I can finish up on the floor as well.
Yeah. Well, let's get into your upcoming fight with Marcin Lasota then at Cage Warriors 73. First off, how much did you know about your opponent when you were offered the fight?
Well, we asked for the fight, so that's something after watching him fight Paul Marin, we were just like, you know, this is a great fight for me. He's got, his striking's okay, but he is mainly a jiu-jitsu guy. He's won 4 fights by submission, 4 fights by decision, so we know that he's got a good gas tank, you know, and he's mainly a submission artist, looks to get to the fight to the floor as soon as, and you know, he's going to have real problems getting me to the floor, and he's a very, very high-ranked guy. I think he's ranked, you know, 5th in Europe, so getting a win over Marcin Lasota will push me, you know, right up to, you know, probably the top 5 or 6 in the UK, and hopefully into, you know, the top 10 in Europe, and get me on that, you know, the next Cage Warriors title fight. But I just definitely think he's going to have a lot of trouble taking me down. He's going to have a lot of trouble trying to submit me on the ground, as, you know, I'm just as high level on the ground as he is, if not more. And I think he can't knock me out stood up. I think the fight will finish on the ground. I think it will be a submission win for myself, or I'll take the decision.
Now, you mentioned there his win over Paul Marin. That was smeared with some controversy in some people's eyes. What was your take on the situation with the tap?
Paul Marin definitely tapped. I watched it a few times. He taps on the roll, so as he's getting rolled from a triangle through to the armbar, he definitely taps the leg. But as far as I'm concerned, Paul Marin was winning that fight. On the feet, he was lighting, you know, Marcin Lasota up. You know, his takedown defense wasn't great. he got taken down against the cage, and got mounted, but he reversed it, and it just shows that Lasota on the ground is more happy off his back than he is in top control. So he almost let himself get rolled, and then he was getting ground and pounded almost out, and then Marcin made a big mistake by jumping straight into his guard, got caught in a triangle, lifted out of it, and was actually out of the triangle, and then slammed Lasota back into the triangle and got caught. So it's just a mistake by Paul Marcin there, but if the fight was to go past that and go into the second and third round, I definitely think Marcin would have won that fight. Right,
so the mistake and the controversy aside, were you not that impressed with Lasota's performance?
No, I wasn't. I mean, I'm impressed by his past performances. I've watched, maybe it was a bit of nerves, a bit of jitters, fighting on cage warriors for the first time and debuting against a good guy like Marcin. But I just think that, he is great. He is good at what he does. He's a very, very stylistic grappler submission guy. He's not a big striker. He likes to take people down and work his submission game, but I just think that my submission game's better, my grappling's better, and I think this is a great matchup for me to show the cage warriors flyweight division what I'm all about, and when I beat Lasota, I'll go on to a world title fight and take that world belt home.
So now obviously you've had some time to study his style and all them, and would you feel comfortable going into a jiu-jitsu battle with him if it played out that way?
Yeah, I mean, I foresee this fight taking place, with me on the feet, and then I think if a takedown does happen, it is by myself. I think that he's going to have real trouble taking me down. I can reverse that. I think if it goes to the ground, it'll be on my terms, and I just think that, all bar a stupid mistake by myself, I don't see him giving me any trouble on the ground. I see, he's going to be in for a real shock.
Now, your judo background is very hard to match for most fighters. Do you see that being a significant advantage once again for you in this fight?
Definitely. I mean, my hips, the way that my reactions are through over, many years of training, it's hard for people to take me down. The people that I train with day in, day out know what I do and still find it hard to take me down. People like Phil Harris, Scott Pooley, James Pennington, James Brum, Vaughan Lee, Brad Pickett, Davey Grant, they all come down. They all train me. They're the upper echelon of, UK and Europe MMA, and they can't take me down. I take them down when I want. It's going to be a completely different game for him, thinking that he can take me down and submit me just as easy as he did with Marcin. It's not going to be the same.
Well, after that win over Spencer Hewitt, you spoke to one of the guys at Kingdom MMA in a post-fight interview, and you mentioned how your striking is continuing to get better. How much of an improvement will we see in your stand-up this time around? A significant leap?
Yeah, definitely significantly. I mean, you'll just have to wait and see. Don't want to give away anything, but you're gonna have to wait and see. My striking has definitely improved.
So if all goes to plan against Lasota, what do you see as your next challenge? Because we've mentioned a win over a tough, undefeated fighter like him really does put you in a good shape for a shot at the vacant flyweight title. Would you agree?
Definitely. If I beat, I see this as a number one contender fight along with Damian Rooney and Shad Chak. I think the winner out of both these fights will, undoubtedly fight for the vacant title. I think that it makes sense. Shad has got the most wins in the flyweight division, and Damian Rooney was a force at bantamweight, and he's picked up a couple of wins, at catchweight, dropping down to flyweight now. I think that makes sense. The winner of that fights the winner out of me and Lasota.
Stylistically, how would you say you match up better with Sajak or Damian Rooney?
I think they're almost the same fighter. I think they're very long, they're very tall. Myself and Lasota being very small. I just think that Shad has got very, very good cardio. But not unlike myself, I've got good cardio. I think that'll be a very fast-paced fight. He's also got good striking, but I think he lacks the power element to put people away that perhaps Damian Rooney does have, and also Damian Rooney's ground game is very good as well, picking up quite a few wins on the ground on the submission side of things, where Shad's wins all come by decision. So I think that fight the way that fight plays out, I think Damian Rooney would pick up maybe the submission win, or if it goes to decision, I think Shad takes the decision just through just flat out work really.
Right, well, before you go, Brett, is there anything you'd like to add, or is there any message that you have for Marcin Lasota before you meet him inside the cage?
No, just like to say thanks to all the guys down at Gym 01, the Gym 01 Monsters, and Brian Adams and Gareth Johnson and Wayne Gardner, and everyone that's helped me prepare for this fight. And to Marcin Lasota, just make sure you bring your A game, because I'll be leaving with my hand raised.
Alright, well, on behalf of Kingdom MMA, I'd like to say thanks again for your time, Brett. We wish you all the best with the rest of your preparations, and we look forward to seeing you come fight night.
Oh, thanks very much.